Yeah, so also one more thing, I ended up actually buying the new little gaskets, so I actually didn't have to reuse the old one. A little bit dried up, so basically put a new one on there. That's the part number, and that's the part number for the camshaft position sensor. Alright, so this is the new camshaft position sensor for the exhaust. And this is going to be the old one. It's also original parts, so I don't think it's ever been replaced. So I'm actually surprised that it lasted this long. One more thing I forgot to mention is, as you can see, it's not a full circle, so there's clearly a cut in it, and this thing also has a cut in it in the bottom. So you just got to make sure you line it up. Just wiggle it in there until you get it on there all the way, and then tighten everything up. Alright, so I was able to put on, or put back rather, the exhaust camshaft position sensor, and then also the intake. It's right here. Luckily I could reach from the top, so it is possible to do from the top. It doesn't have to be done from the bottom. Just got to remove these coolant hoses. Get some room, and that's it. Alright, so that is the intake camshaft position sensor, and basically mine uses I think it's a 5mm Allen key. This bolt was really tight, so I don't know, just be careful, try not to strip the bolt. So it's located in the back. This is the throttle position sensor, and then it does help if you take off the plenum cover, just because you got a little bit more room to work here with. But you do have to remove this. At least I had to, because there's no way you can get to the, I mean, at least I couldn't get to the camshaft position sensor if this part was not removed. It actually sits in there like this, okay, and there's two 10mm bolts that hold this bracket on. It also holds these fuel rails. It holds also holds this plastic box as well. So yeah, this plastic box you can just pull up, and it'll pop right off and give you a little bit more room in the back. But yeah, that's it. Alright guys, so throttle position sensor is replaced. Now we're working on so the intake position sensor is replaced also. Just did that. Now we're working on the exhaust camshaft position sensor. I actually ended up doing it from the top. Just a little bit of a pain, but just take your time. It took me probably a good 30-40 minutes just to get one bolt out, because I had to use just a regular Allen wrench, like that, and it was just really tight in there. One thing I did have to do was remove the coolant hoses. Basically you could just tuck those away, two there and one over there, just because there's so much more room to work with then. Not that much coolant comes out, just like maybe 2 ounces. But again, this is going to be your exhaust camshaft position sensor. This is your intake camshaft position sensor, so both can be done from the top. instead of jacking the car up and doing it from the bottom. And then just to compare the old sensor and the new sensor, so the ring and everything, that green sealant ring already comes on it, so you don't have to, you know, put that on or anything. That, what does that say? Made in West Germany. So not sure why everything is etched out like that, but it's a genuine part. It's just not, it doesn't have just, you know, the BMW you know, badge on it or whatever, so it costs a little bit less money. Yeah, so basically just press this clip, sensor comes out. This is the old one. I mean, it's an original BMW unit, so I'm assuming this is what came in the car originally, and you know, it's a 2002 with, you know, 170,000 miles, so I mean, it's one of those things where even if you don't have a code for it, you know, it's probably not a bad idea to replace it, you know, especially if you have, you know, if you have all that stuff apart, you know, all the plenum and everything. I mean, it's literally 2 screws, you know, so it's probably a good idea to do along with your CPS sensors, which I'm doing next. So, but the part numbers are identical. So one of them, you know, clearly it's over there. Other one's here, but the part numbers are the same. So there's no difference. Alright, so basically I watched your video and I really didn't feel like taking all this off. And besides, there's clips on the bottom here, which when you pull up, they don't just come loose. I guess you would have to like pry them off, so didn't really want to do any of that. So I took off the top cover, and then my only option was to take a vice grip and put basically a little bit at the end of it, and you basically like push the plastic. See how it's bent a little bit? You kind of have to push it out the way a little bit and then stick the bit in there, and luckily mine actually did not strip, so that's kind of what I'm going to be doing here. So so the other thing is I think that the reason a lot of people strip the screw is they use a screwdriver that's basically you can see that it's really, you know, the grooves are wider in here, so you're probably going to want a bit that's, you know, relatively wide versus, you know, something like this, which actually, you know, has some play in there. So this is more likely to strip than, you know, something a little bit where the angles are a little bit wider, and this actually has barely any play, so luckily it didn't strip. But